Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another War of the Visions video, and today we're going to talk team building and we're going to talk Seifer. We're going to talk building a mono dark team, maybe a mix of dark and light and weapon-based teams. We're going to focus a lot on not only Seifer the unit and what he can do, but on his vision card that drops next week. I think that is going to be the linchpin for building with him. If you pull Seifer straight away this week, in my opinion, you can take your time over the next 7 days to build him up because he's really going to pop off. He's really going to become usable once his vision card drops. Here's what that vision card is. So at Balam Garden Restaurant is the JP translation. We'll see what it's called for us, but this card is crazy. It's an attack scaling card, gives attack and agility to the unit wearing it. You gotta love that. Then it is a 24 AoE resist card with 16 slash resist and 25 human killer physical. Hold the phone. That is absolutely crazy. AoE resist 24 is obviously good enough to be the primary stat on a vision card. 25 human killer physical would have in the old days been a primary stat on a vision card. So that's nuts. The AP consumption on a quest map, who cares about that? But when you think about building around this card, I think it's important to look at what jobs this card hits. So once again, we'll go to JB's amazing spreadsheet, and here's this card. So obviously Sword Warrior, which is what Seifer is, but it also crucially hits Sword Knight and Fist. Now, I want to just start with Fist, because I think one of the least feasible routes to go with this is the Fist route. If you were trying to build a sword, because essentially at that point, what you're trying to do is build a Sword Warrior Fist team. And if you look at the crossover, it's quite literally only the new card, right? That's it. So you're not going to be running Seifer with fisting units unless they happen to be dark, which, there are some options there. If you do a mono dark team, you could use this card for that, maybe, but for the most part, you're not going to do Sword Warrior Fist. It just doesn't mix. The only card that touches both is the new one. So instead, what you're looking at, and we'll jump back here, is what Sword Warrior look like. Not great. If I'm being real, not great. Let's go over here to some units pages. I want to look at Sword Warriors for a second. I feel like this is just an easy way of showing it. Lucio Light of Brilliance is a really good unit. Not S tier in my opinion, but A tier. Bart's maybe bottom of A tier, high B tier. Then you fall off a cliff. Now the benefit here is both of these units are light, and there are some interesting light dark combos around Dark Bahamut that you could build with. So if you wanted to run a Sword Warrior light and dark team where you mostly use Sword Warrior cards and then mixed in some Dark Bahamut, which I'll show you Dark Bahamut right here. He gives slash attack, acquired AP, AoE resist. You could do that. The issue is the AoE resist here will, not stack with the AoE resist from the new card. So Dark Bahamut would be a sub card already. And so that idea dies a little bit right there. Still, it is an option, and I could see some people pulling it off. Again, the problems with Sword Warrior is outside of these two, who's popping off for you? Maybe you're running some really tanky Warrior of Light. Maybe you're a Ramza fan and you're just forcing it. Otherwise, this job not been the best taken care of. However, if we go back to the spreadsheet for a second, the other job that this hits is Sword Knight. And that's where I think the focus should be. Sword Knight has good units in it, really good units. And Sword Knight's vision cards and Sword Warrior's vision cards now have the magically perfect overlap. I'm not sure if this is the only time this has happened in War of the Visions, or maybe it's happened 1 or 2 other times, but with this new card, you have an AoE resist card that hits both. You have a unit resist card that hits both, and you have an agility % card that hits both. So you can run the trifecta of necessary buffs and 2 jobs. You can make a double job team right here, and it actually it doesn't fall off really. The only fall off between using it and just like mono sword warrior or sword knight is you can't use the double dipping unit resist agility card. Still, if you have these three, this is probably the power route, a mix of sword knight and sword warrior. If we were to go look at sword knight units, they're better. Sword Knight is looking a little better. Ashen King Mont, very, very good unit. S tier unit. Maybe not top of S tier, like a Gilgamesh or something, but bottom of S tier unit. Squall just got a big buff. Obviously, I have him max reincarnated, so I'm going to be using him. Lots of people play Wing of Destiny Stern. Lots of people built King Bradley back in the day. Then you get into like the Lightning Celis Terra Noctis area. Terra. Celis, usable against magic. Lightning, actually pretty good right now. Again, not S tier, bottom of A, top of B. Noctis, kind of the same area right there. I still think there's some decent Noctis squads out there. Then it falls off the cliff, right? Or Thancred. Let's not forget about our boy Thancred. Still, the top of Sword Knight is decent, especially Ashen King Mont and Squall, in my opinion, with a shout out to King Bradley, Lightning, and Wing of Destiny Stern. So that's the way to go, in my opinion. If you are trying to build a job-based team, I think you take the best of what you have from Sword Knight, mix that with the best of what you have, from Sword Warrior, which is one of these two, boom. And if you have those vision cards and can make that happen, great. Even if you only have 2 of those 3 vision cards and you can substitute in a generic for maybe the one stat you're missing, I still think that might be a very powerful play. Now, what if you were trying to run Mono Dark? Mono Dark is not in the greatest spot. Mono element teams in general are not in the greatest spot, but with Dark, your newest unit is Lunacesis Catone, and a lot of people have her because she was cheap to pick up. Maybe for some cost limited teams, like let's pull her up for a second. She's cost 70. There are some cost limited options for Seifer and Lunacesis Catone, if you have her, that can go Mono Dark. And she's a Fist unit. So his vision card, if you were building Mono Dark and you were only running Sword Warrior, Sword Knight, and Fist Dark units, then you could get the buff from the vision cards and the elemental buff that they all give each other. So there is some play around Lunacesis Catone. After that, Bronwell is another cost limited option. I believe she's also cost 70, yes. So 2 cost 70 dark units are your 2est new dark units. So maybe Mono Dark is a cost limited option later. Then you get to Vivi, Irvine, Raph, Sephiroth. Halloween Lucia, another good cost limited option. I'm really curious to see what Irvine's buffs, which I think he probably got the biggest hookup of anybody with the old FF8 units. He is potentially very good, but you're going to be running Mono Dark only vision cards and things at that point. Sephiroth, same thing, like tons of people still play Sephiroth, tons of people still play Raph. If you drop off after that, you're looking at like a Dark Fina, maybe like Little Leela the Bold. It falls off hard. Knight of Ruins turn saw a resurgence sort of recently, but yeah, Mono Dark, top heavy in terms of cost limited, but in terms of raw power, Vivi, Irvine, old Sephiroth, like what are they doing for you? I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay, now let's take a peek at some vision cards for a second. Here's your Mono Dark vision card lineup. You can hit the trifecta, but you need to be having like Stygian Conqueror, Dark Bahamut. You need to be having Anima, and if you have Anima, the single target resist plus slash attack penetration is really good. So this is I think these 2 are probably must-haves for the Dark team if you're running it. There are other AoE resist Dark options, but they're magic scaling cards. For agility, you could look for like cost, their Black Rose of the Battlefield, something like that. And that's how I'm thinking about Seifer's team building. For me personally, I'm looking at Ashen King Mont, Squall, Seifer as my 3. I think that squad is going to do a lot of work for me. Squall Seifer is the obvious choice for me, especially if I max reincarnate Seifer. That's 2 max reincarnated units. I also have the King Bradley, who I believe is fully reincarnated, to look at. That's what I'm doing. Okay, those are my thoughts about team building with this unit. I hope this video was helpful. Obviously, you got to have a lot of vision cards to make these work. And that is always the trick with like highest in team building in this game. Do you have the VCs? I do, because I've been pulling every Sword Knight vision card that exists. So that's been a big help for me. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Pulling tomorrow Yeah, by the time this video comes out, it'll be Thursday. So I'll be pulling tomorrow for Seifer. Probably not live. I'm helping my dad build a deck right now for a little side money. So that's eating up my evenings pretty hardcore. Trying to get that done before it becomes 110 degrees again. But yeah, thank you guys. Have a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.